Ladies and gentlemen, today, we explore a topic that often remains unspoken, yet affects many of us in profound ways: the psychology of people who hate family gatherings. At first glance, this may seem puzzling. After all, family is supposed to be a source of comfort, love, and connection. And yet, for some individuals, the very idea of attending a family gathering evokes anxiety, discomfort, or even dread. As a psychiatrist, I invite you to look beyond the surface and understand the underlying psychological mechanisms at play. The first point to consider is the role of social stress. Family gatherings, while intended to be joyful, are often complex social environments. They are filled with unspoken expectations, subtle judgments, and emotionally charged interactions. For some individuals, this environment acts as a stressor rather than a source of pleasure. Stress is not merely a matter of being nervous or shy, it is a physiological response that triggers increased heart rate, tension, and sometimes, intrusive thoughts. When repeated over years, these gatherings can become associated with negative emotions, creating a conditioned response. The very mention of a family reunion becomes anxiety-inducing. Second, we must consider personality differences. Not all people experience social interactions in the same way. Introverted individuals, for instance, often find large gatherings exhausting rather than energizing. Their internal world is rich, but their social bandwidth is limited, meaning that they require downtime to recharge after social interactions. Highly sensitive people, on the other hand, process emotional cues deeply. They notice subtle criticisms, disapproval, or tension that others may overlook. For these individuals, family gatherings are not just social events, they are emotionally and cognitively taxing experiences that can leave them drained and distressed. The third factor is past trauma or conflict. Many people who avoid family gatherings do so because of unresolved family dynamics. Perhaps there were patterns of criticism, neglect, or emotional manipulation during childhood. Maybe certain relatives consistently demeaned or dismissed them, creating a lasting impact on self-esteem. For such individuals, family gatherings are not simply social events, they are reminders of past pain. The mind remembers patterns of discomfort and unconsciously anticipates their recurrence. Avoidance, in this context, is not merely preference, it is a self-protective mechanism. Closely related to trauma is the fear of judgment. Family gatherings often involve subtle comparisons, achievements, lifestyle choices, or personality traits. People who dislike these events may be highly sensitive to perceived judgment, or they may fear being misunderstood or criticized. This fear is not necessarily rooted in reality, sometimes, it is a projection of past experiences. Yet, the emotional response is very real. Anticipating judgment can trigger anxiety, irritability, or a sense of inadequacy. A fifth consideration is overstimulation. Family gatherings can be noisy, crowded, and fast-paced. For some individuals, this level of sensory input is overwhelming. Imagine trying to process multiple conversations, social expectations, and emotional nuances simultaneously. For sensitive individuals, this sensory overload leads to fatigue and discomfort. This is particularly true for people with heightened empathy or sensory processing sensitivity, who feel the emotional atmosphere of the room almost physically. The sixth point is autonomy and boundaries. Many people who dislike family gatherings value personal space and independence. Family expectations, sometimes subtle, sometimes explicit, can feel intrusive. Questions about career, marriage, or lifestyle choices may violate personal boundaries, evoking frustration or resentment. For individuals who prioritize autonomy, the pressure to conform to familial norms can create an internal conflict. The desire for connection clashes with the need for self-preservation. Understanding and respecting these boundaries is crucial, both for the individual and the family system. Finally, let us discuss coping mechanisms. Avoidance alone may provide temporary relief, but it does not address the underlying stressors. Healthy strategies include setting boundaries in advance, preparing mentally for challenging interactions, and practicing mindfulness or grounding techniques. Some individuals benefit from gradually increasing exposure to family interactions, while others may need structured support, such as therapy, to process unresolved family trauma. Recognizing that it is acceptable to prioritize mental health over social expectations is a critical step toward emotional well-being. In conclusion, the psychology of people who hate family gatherings is multifaceted. It is influenced by social stress, personality traits, past experiences, fear of judgment, sensory overload, and the need for autonomy. Understanding these factors allows us to approach this behavior with empathy rather than judgment. Not everyone finds comfort in large social gatherings, and that is perfectly natural. By acknowledging the underlying psychology, we can create environments, both within families and within ourselves, that honor individual needs while fostering connection in meaningful ways. Family gatherings, like any social setting, are not universally pleasurable. For some, they are a source of joy, for others, a source of stress. The key lies in understanding the mind, respecting boundaries, and finding strategies that protect mental health without fostering isolation. It is a delicate balance, but one that is entirely possible when we approach it with insight, compassion, and psychological awareness. Thank you.